Hey everyone, and welcome back to another penny stock video. And I have a really exciting stock that we're going to be looking at today. It's actually a biotech stock, and this is really a tremendous value opportunity here, a very unique opportunity as well. So we're going to be diving into RSPI, which is Respire RX Pharmaceuticals, and going to be taking you through, what can be the upcoming catalysts here. Why I like this stock, why I think it's a really unique value play here as well. And I think it will also be a sympathy play to VVOO, which had, or VVOOS, I'm sorry, which had a massive run today, 830%. We'll talk about why. But first, let's dive into the fundamentals of RSPI and what's going on, why this is attractive. So we're first obviously going to take a look at the share structure as we always do. And what is our float? Well, we're looking at a held of DTC of 320 million shares here. We've talked about share structure in every video before. So for those who watch, you'll know this is a very attractive float, especially for these prices. A 300 mil share float, in low dubs like this, it's definitely attractive. It means it's liquid enough for folks to buy a good amount of size, but it's also small enough where the stock can have nice volatility and quick moves to the upside. So really, really nice share structure. Authorized shares of 2 billion. So, even if they do dilute, which I'm sure they will because they're a biotech company, it's nothing egregious, right? It's capped at a pretty reasonable level there. But really what we want to be looking at here is this $450,000 market cap. So less than $500,000 market cap. And we're going to be talking about why that's just crazy for the stock. So let's go to their website. And here's their website, Respire RX Pharmaceuticals. And right off the bat, if we go to their product pipeline here, you can see that they have 2 drugs being developed for multiple things, right? They have the Endeavor RX is for ADHD, spinal cord injury, follow-up compound, and epilepsy/pain. And we can see that their ADHD drug is currently in phase 2 trials. So we could hear news very soon regarding this drug finishing phase 2 trials. But most importantly and most interesting is the Resolution RX cannabinoids, which they're developing dronedarone. Apologies for my mispronunciation most likely, but this dronedarone is going to be an oral pill for sleep apnea, particularly, egregious sleep apnea that's really disruptive to sleep, which has become a really major issue in the United States and a lot of other parts of the world. There's a lot of cases of this, and I'm sure you've seen the advertisements for the machines, and nobody wants the machines, right, because they're just as kind of obtrusive to your sleep as actual sleep apnea is, so it's kind of a terrible solution. But this, on the other hand, will be the first ever pill that you can take to actually cure your sleep apnea at night. So it's really a breakthrough treatment method for sleep apnea, and it's going to really, I think, take the market by storm. But so where are we at with dronedarone is we're entering this phase 3 trial phase. And so they've actually passed phase 2 clinical trials already with this product, with this drug, and they're about to enter the phase 3 clinical trials. And for those who trade biotechs, you'll be aware that obviously entering a new phase in clinical trials, particularly the final phase before commercialization, is a major catalyst, and will definitely introduce a really strong value proposition to the stock. Like we talked about, only $450,000 market cap, which is really insane for this. And there's more reasons why that's insane, and we're going to get into that now. So here's their news, right? This is their whole news page. You can see they PR quite often, and one thing that I think is going to be an upcoming catalyst here is a press release in the near future. Reason being, if we look at the history of their press releases and the dates associated, you can see that they press release on average about once every 60 days. And their last press release was October 12th of this year. So I would very much think that we're going to get another press release in December, just based on their schedule of press releases so far. Now let's take a look at what they've been PRing recently and why it's significant. If we take a look here from their April 5th press release, you can see RespirRx Pharmaceuticals established research collaboration with University College London to study the use of ampakines. Apologies for the mispronunciation again, for the treatment of GRI disorders, right? So essentially they've partnered with University College of London, which is a London-based university, London, UK, major university, and they're going to be working on developing these drugs with them. So that's a significant partnership. If we scroll down a bit as well, they've also partnered with an Australian research lab, and they've also partnered with, there's another university here, if I can find it. I'm not seeing it at the moment, but there's another university partnership they have as well. I apologize. Not sure where I saw that. But you can go to this page and scroll through all of their press releases, right, to find more information. It's respirerx.com/news. And they have tons and tons of PRs here that you can read about the drug and the development of the drug. So obviously, major partnership with a university is always something nice, but there's a lot more to it than that, for sure. If we keep going forward, this is really the kicker. This is the big thing. So this is from their August 9th press release, talking about Resolution RX and entering into agreements, and they talk about this funding that they secured from Cantheon Capital, and it's significant funding. It's over $3 million in funding through Series A preferred shares. But what's really significant is the valuation that Cantheon Capital has given the company. So if we read here, price of securities offering of Series A preference shares by Resolution RX, right? Talks about Cantheon Capital right here. And this was a deal made on May 18th of 2023, letter of intent. So this is another forward-looking catalyst that we have, because any day now we could hear about this funding actually closing and finalizing, and that would be a major catalyst in itself. But let's take a look at the valuation, because remember we talked about as a $450,000 market cap right here. So the valuation received from Cantheon Capital here assumes $25 million maximum value for the net assets provided by RespirRx and Resolution RX, right? So they're valuing this biotech at $25 million with their current drugs and current pipeline. This is just a massive, massive discrepancy between the valuation of the company and the market cap of $450,000, which is pathetically low. And you can see it is, they say right here, it's a receipt from an independent valuation. It's a legitimate valuation, and it's being respected by this Cantheon Capital as well. And if we look at Cantheon Capital real quick, we can bring them up now. You can see that they are certainly the real deal here. Cantheon Capital is passionate about the pharmaceutical development of early to mid-stage pharmaceutical FDA-registered drugs. We support early and mid-stage companies looking to make advances through clinical trials with a view to create novel FDA-registered pharmaceuticals. And you can see that they work with listed biotechs on NASDAQ, NYSE, Toronto Stock Exchange, Canadian Stock Exchange, London Stock Exchange, Australian Stock Exchange, right? So they work with big biotech companies listed on major exchanges. And the fact that they're willing to give an OTC company a significant amount of funding at a much higher valuation than the current share price is quite significant to me, and really puts a lot of confidence, right, in the drug that they're developing, which is this sleep apnea pill. And it's very exciting because as I mentioned, we're just about to enter the phase 3 clinical trials here, which means we're getting closer and closer to commercialization. And obviously, phase 3 clinical trials in itself is a huge catalyst. And then closing on this funding is going to be another huge catalyst. And those are most likely, very soon now, because we've been hearing about this all summer and into the fall. And so, but really, this is the key to me, is this $25 million valuation. And you can see the price per share that Cantheon's getting, these preferred shares, is going to be 90 cents per share, versus obviously it's trading under a penny on the open market. So there's just a massive discrepancy in value here, and the price is going to have to adjust, right? Because you can only have so much of a discrepancy in value. Eventually, the price has to adjust and correct upwards, and I think that's what we're starting to see today, 115% increase on the price. And there's a lot of bullish things on the chart, which I'm going to get to in a moment as well. So that was the key right there, was that $25 million valuation. If we take a look here from their investor presentation, you can see it's a potential multi-billion-dollar market with an estimated 30 million U.S. patients, and that's just in the U.S., and they're planning on launching in Australia, and I would assume internationally. And you can see that they had a very successful Phase 2B clinical trial, and Phase 3 is ready pending completion of new superior formulation and IND meeting. So what does that mean, right? Well, we got a little more details on that in October here with this October 12th press release where they entered into a master services agreement for dronabinol manufacturing and related services. So they entered a manufacturing agreement for the development of this drug and the production of this drug, and this agreement actually is going to be good for commercialization of the drug as well. So it talks about in this press release that they're developing this new formula, right? And they're pretty much almost done with the new formula, and they're going to start manufacturing here soon. So that means, based on this investor presentation, okay, the completion of the new superior formulation is happening right now, right? They just signed this agreement in October. They've probably already completed the new formulation at this point, I would assume, which means they're pretty much just about there to enter Phase 3. And like I said, Phase 3 is going to be a really significant catalyst here. So they're just about to enter Phase 3 by everything we can tell. I mean, it really could just be any day now that we hear about these Phase 3 clinical trials. I think we're very, very close. And then, they're talking about commercialization already, so it sounds like they're quite confident. And they passed the Phase 1 and Phase 2 trials, right? So they sound quite confident that they'll pass Phase 3 as well and enter commercialization in the near future. Okay, so that's that. That's all the core DD. Let's take a look at VVOS, right? Because VVOS today announced FDA clearance for their oral device for sleep apnea. And this is actually quite primitive technology, really, compared to what RSPI is doing, because RSPI is just making a simple pill that you can ingest, whereas this device is still an oral device, so it's still going to be obstructive to people's sleep. But the market reacted extremely positive to this nonetheless, and we can see that VVOS did 833% increase today in price. So obviously there's huge potential in this sector, and the market seems to feel really strongly about this sector. And so I do believe that, RSPI is well positioned to benefit in a similar way, especially once their Phase 3 trial is completed. It could be really, really huge for the stock. So now let's take a look at the chart. We have a super bullish setup on this chart. And this is one of the things that attracted me to this stock in the first place, was the chart setup, because I love these setups where there's lots and lots of room on the chart and not a lot of resistance points, right? So if we're looking at this chart, what's really our resistance points? We can draw some lines. And the previous resistance point that the stock was trading below for, let's see, since June, right? Since June, the stock was stuck under 002. I mean, really stuck. And it just could not break over 002. And so there's our line. And then another resistance after 002 is a lot higher on the chart, up here at 007. So you can see that now we're in this breakout territory between our two lines, because we broke that critical support or critical resistance level here at 002. We also broke and closed above the 200 MA, which hasn't happened since June. And the last time that did happen, you can see the stock ran to almost 2 cents. So about a 10x from here. So really, really significant upside on the chart. Very significant potential for a swing trade here. The chart setup is screaming bullish to me, right? We have the MACD just went bullish. That's always one of my favorite indicators to use, is the MACD. It just went bullish on the daily, again, for the first time since June. So this chart is really gearing up for another run here. Closing above both the key resistance of 002 and the 200 MA is about as bullish of a close as you could possibly get. This signals to me a major reversal is about to happen. And really the next major resistance level we have is this 007. Maybe we could call, let's see. We could maybe call 0043 a level. So we might have a little bit of resistance at 0043. But not a ton. I don't see much. I mean, really, not a ton. So I would think that the first big resistance after this is 007. Represents significant upside, right? At least 100% return on a swing trade from here. Obviously, this isn't financial advice. This is just my opinion and my personal analysis of it. And then we take a look at the volume, which is another very bullish indicator. And we have over 100 million volume today. And it's actually record volume for the past 2 years. So this is a 2-year time frame. This is all-time record volume for the stock, which kind of, to me is like, does somebody know something, right? Because usually if there's big biotech news on the way, like this, maybe we're some insiders loading. Like, I'm not really sure, but this is massive volume here. And a volume spike like this is always extremely bullish. Obviously, we know that volume comes before price. You can see here from O'Reilly Media. This is from a trading book, actually. How volume confirms price. Volume has become the standard for testing the validity and trustworthiness of a price-based signal. Volume precedes price, is the Wall Street saying, and indeed it often does. When volume increases, the trend of the trend of the market or a stock usually continues in the same direction. So I do expect significant continuation here. Like I said, this is such a bullish close for the stock today with huge volume and the bullish MACD cross, and the accumulation has begun to rise for the first time in a while. So really, really, really nice setup here playing out on the chart. Paired with excellent due diligence, and paired with imminent catalysts of phase 3 clinical trials, as well as closing on that letter of intent with Cantheon Capital for the significant funding. Plus, we have a $25 million valuation here, $450,000 market cap. That just isn't right and needs to be corrected. So I do believe buyers will continue to step in. They'll see the value here, especially with how VVOS had performed today on the NASDAQ. It's obvious that there's strong demand for these sleep apnea drugs right now. It's a really hot market. So everything, all things considered, this is easily one of my favorite setups in OTC right now. These biotech plays historically have had significant runs as well. If we think of kind of household OTC names now, such as ENZC and RGBP, both biotech plays that had massive, massive runs. And one other thing I'll show you guys here real quick is we'll take a look at the patents, right? Because someone had posted them earlier. And here we are with RSPI. You can see this is the kind of icing on the cake. These guys have a ton of patents, and their patents are actually, a lot of their patents are good through 2041. So they're going to have these patents for a long time, and they have a long list of patents here that they already own. So that's always really, really good to see as well. So that pretty much covers all of the due diligence for RSPI, as well as my chart analysis. Very bullish setup to me. Looking forward to continuation on this chart. There's a lot of room here. I mean, over 007, it can get really fun, right? So we're pretty much in a breakout mode right now. Strong volume would indicate, again, that we will see continuation here. So, yeah, do your own research, guys. Take a deeper look into this company. Here's to looking forward for phase 3 clinical trials. I think once that gets announced, that'll really kick this thing off, and could even see new highs. So thanks again for watching, and I will see you next time.